Hello and welcome to the Winners Find a Way show. I am your host, Trent Clark, CEO of Leadershipity, serial entrepreneur and longtime coach in professional baseball coaching in 3 World Series. I am the new author of Leading Winning Teams, and I welcome you to the Winners Find a Way show for another fabulous edition. And I've got my guest and friend, Adam Constantine. What's up, buddy?
Man, I am hyped to be here, Trent. Really excited about the conversation. Excited about, obviously, like people don't hear us off air. Excited about the stuff we talked about beforehand. So I'm just hyped, man. It's gonna be a great conversation.
That's right. I love it. I love it. Getting hype here. It's time for Constantine. I love it, man. Like here we go. We are on it today. Super excited to be here. And we are talking, obviously, always to the one percenters here who have done some things in their lives and faced some challenges along the way. Adam is no different. Adam's a guy out of North Carolina, played at Elon College, played little hoops. Then he took his talents across the big pond, went out to Europe, played in Finland, amongst a bunch of places he's going to talk about, and recently engaged and running now a marketing firm. And he's been doing marketing and social media and all sorts of digital assets now for over nearly 5 years now. And he's been in the LA, Chicago markets. Adam currently resides mostly Chicago now. You can see his Jordan collection there, which I am impressed with, by the way, right there. He's in the right place for a Jordan collection, being in Chicago.
That's a fact.
And of course, now, one thing most people don't know about Adam is, the guy's got a little affinity for anime. And that probably doesn't come out, in all the things. But, we're already plotting our trip to Japan. So, like we're doing that offline. So it's pretty sweet. And man, I hear more people, Adam, and I'm becoming less shocked by a lot of folks who really dig anime.
And it's funny, if you want to talk about winners who find a way, that is the epitome of anime. So I would actually say that has more relevance on here. Don't worry, I'm not going to spend our entire time talking about it, even though I could. But yeah, it's funny. I liken anime now to what Marvel was from like 2008 to 2020, like kind of like that golden age where the casual watcher is coming in and able to enjoy it. Now we're just going to see if they do the same trend that Marvel did, which is try and print a bunch of money, make everything quality go super poorly, and now they're struggling. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But yes, it is funny to see that trend continue to move forward, especially because I got bullied for it back in middle school and high school, and now the cool kids are watching it. So that annoys me a little bit. But hey, you know what?
It's funny. It's funny as you say that. I am gonna remind of I am a Motley Fool reader, and they do a lot of prospecting of what future things are. And I can remember back in like 02, 03, they're like, listen, buy Marvel stock. And I'm like, these are comic books? Like nobody reads those anymore. What are they talking about? They don't know anything. And I'm like going, oh my. And of course, I did not buy Marvel stock. And that is at my own, demise, because Marvel stock has done very well. And like you said, the heyday of like 08, 2020, like literally probably owning that stock for 20 years probably would have paid for all my children's colleges. So, and I have 5, Adam. So that would have been a pretty good investment, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, and then some, but 5, for sure.
Yeah. Right?
That'll get it.
Yeah. So, so cool. So let's get into a little bit of first, man, like there's a ton of people out there who see themselves as a competitor. I played sports. I want to get into my own business. I contend all the time that, entrepreneurship, start a website. It's easy. Like, it's not easy, man. Like, there's nothing easy about this. You've been on the grind now well over 5 years. Talk to me about how you pivoted that, made that decision to jump into this thing and go.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are kind of 2 quotes that I think encompass entrepreneurship. One's a little silly, one's serious. The first one is, if you don't want to work 9 to 5 for your entire life, become an entrepreneur, and you'll work 24/7, right? Like that is like that is the trade-off there when it comes to working. The second is in entrepreneurship, there are no excuses. There are only reasons. The reasons why you are. It's not, oh, I would have been successful, but X, Y, Z. No, that's the reason, right? Like entrepreneurship is purely about your ability to pivot, to grind through, or to move past discomfort in order to move it forward. What a lot of people forget, and what somebody should do, is look up their favorite companies and look up what was the name that they first started under, or what were the companies the founder started before that one. Because it's usually one of those two things. It's usually they started a company to do one thing, it didn't work, they pivoted into something else, and they were able to find that extra success. Or a founder started several companies, those didn't work, and then had it. So, like, you have to be comfortable with failure. You have to understand that failure is it's not success or failure. Failure is part of your successful journey. That's truly what it is. The way that I went about it, so I was fortunate enough to play at Elon University for 4 years, was a 4-year letter there, played overseas for 5, so I lived in a bunch of different countries, Bulgaria, Sweden, Cyprus, Turkey, Germany, Israel, Finland.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. The top league I played in was Bundesliga in Germany. Obviously, the basketball league. I was
not the soccer league.
Football. Yeah, correct. I was not playing soccer over there. But so I played in that top league. In fact, so Dennis Schroeder, who is in the NBA now, he was 15, 16 playing against us in those times. So it's like just seeing that type of play at that high level was pretty amazing.
Well, one thing I want to drop in real quick here is that also people should know that, Davison was a they're a conference foe here with Elon, and they had this one kind of crappy player, a guy named Steph Curry, who was okay.
Yes.
I mean, I'm sure you as a guard probably worked him over a little bit,
Yeah, that was as you can see, I tried to breeze over that time. So Trent, thank you very much for bringing that back up to the forefront. When I was at Elon, the way that I told, so when someone's like, "Oh, where's that?" or "Oh, what's that?" I said, "Oh, it's a school in North Carolina," and then the way that I dial everybody in is I say, I was there when Steph was at Davidson. We were in the same conference, and we played against them 7 times. Whether I went 7-0 or 0-7 doesn't really matter. But if you had to pick one for your life, just be smart, okay?
Yeah.
One of us has started a company. The other one has 4 championships. Okay, so let's make sure that we really understand what we're talking about here. But
Steph's done okay. Let's just say Steph's done okay too. Let's just say that.
He drops 50 points. We held him to 42 in college, okay? So he's dropping 50 and 60 now. So really, we did a good job. But it's funny, we had never seen play the way he had out there. As far as he was shooting, those were considered bad shots. I'm helping off of the screen, and I'm putting both my hands up, and he's still 4 feet away from me and shoot. What? I'm looking at my coach. My coach is looking at me. I'm like, what do you want me to do?
How far are we going to extend the perimeter on this thing, right?
Yes.
I mean, I'm feeling like, hey, listen, I just got him to shoot from 36 away from the basket. I feel like I did my job. The problem is he makes them.
Okay. Exactly. He took an end of shot clock Hail Mary and made a 9-figure career off of it. There's only so much that you can do with talking out there.
Sometimes you just got to tip your hat. You're like, hey, Steph, that's a nice shot. All right?
Exactly. And it's funny, believe it or not, as good as he was in college, I thought his ceiling, and there's no shade, I thought his ceiling was JJ Redick, right? Because JJ Redick was cooking in college a little earlier than that, became a solid role player. Obviously, is now a head coach for the Lakers, but was a solid role player. And that's what I thought. There's nobody that thought, oh, this was going to be a generational type player that would change the game forever. Like that was, even as good as he was in college, even seeing that is unbelievable.
Yeah. Very cool. All right. So sidebar on Steph. So I think it's so, amazing, the experiences you get from travel, right? Like, I mean, I appreciate our country more than ever because of what my travel has opened my eyes to what's out there. Right. And I really appreciate, from a basketball perspective, a story of like the brothers, of Rise, and the Greek Freak and all that they had to go through to get out of Africa, to get out of the oppression, and then live under a radar as illegal immigrants to try to make things work, all with the intent to get a chance. I mean, nothing more than just to get a chance, right? So
that's one of the things to see over there. And also it opens your mind to just see that other things are also done differently. When we are raised, when people live in one place, they believe that everything they do is right and everything everybody else does is wrong. Sometimes it's just different. Like whether it's what we have for breakfast compared to what somebody else has for breakfast. I've lived in country, here, whether it's the when we do like the Pledge of Allegiance, we take our hats off. In Israel, when they are doing things, they cover their heads, right? Like there's lots of different ways that a lot of times people can do or show reverence or have the same importance on those different things. And travel allows you to see those differences and either allows you to say, hey, yeah, I like that better. Or, I like what I've been doing, but I now have things to measure up against to make that a fair and a fair conclusion.
Well, I think one of the things that came out that hurt entrepreneurs, right? And both, it's a blessing and a curse, right? This beautiful book by friend Tim Ferriss, who writes The 4-Hour Work Week, right? Like, hey, we can all do this. We can work and make millions of dollars in 4 hours a week. And premises are very good. There is a lot to learn from that. The challenge is the title of the book that basically leads kids to believe like, oh, hey, I'm going to start a website and work 4 hours and make millions. Here's a stat that most people don't know. Only like 3.7% of all businesses in North America make $1 million. Isn't that crazy? I find that to be one of the most crazy figures I've ever seen in business. Is this issue of, man, I got into business to work hard, grind, learn, and everyone's like, oh man, we know these big corporations make billions of dollars, all these factors, and then you get into a scenario where you're in a small business and you're grinding away, trying to get employees and the like, and you're trying to get all these people going. It's crazy. Like the reality of that deal is in a case like Adam's business, where he has over 30 employees and he's grinding in this business. Like it is rare air to see someone like Adam grow a company. And I'm sure his athletic background was probably crucial to the success of, hey, how do I deal with failure on this way to excellence? I mean, you don't start out with 30 employees, you start out with a few employees, and then you got to get there. So, when I look at Adam's company as on this growth curve, Adam, I got to believe like this rare air of $1 million or more. You talk about how missing shots and failing as an athlete. Talk about how that served you in starting your company and going through the challenges of, hey, do I have enough money to onboard more employees and grow and and face that fear of not getting it done. I think we lost Adam. A little technical difficulty here for Adam here. I lost his Wi-Fi there. Oh, gotcha. We don't hear you, Adam. Little technical difficulty. Please hold.
It's one of the things that sports teaches you from an early age is that not only is winning not guaranteed, it's earned. Like you have to try your hardest, you have to try your best to win, and that may not be enough. So like when you're playing sports, winning is a luxury. Winning is a reward. I may get flack for this. I don't necessarily mean it. In school, learning is made for you. There's no, it's funny, my coach used to say this. He actually, Coach Ernie Nestor, he actually just passed a little while ago. He'd say, when you're taking a test, nobody's guarding you while you're taking a test. No one's knocking your pencil away while you're taking a test. It's you figure it out and you go from there. In sports, there are other people just like you that are just as entitled to winning as you are, which means you have to earn that. Yeah. So when you do that, when you're young in rec league, and then you do it in your middle school team, and then you do it in your high school leagues, and you do it in your AAU leagues, and you do it in college, and then for me, you do it as a pro, it becomes second nature to understand that there is nothing that I go into that I am owed, and there's nothing that I go into that is guaranteed. So starting a business, I knew that there was failure. I prepped for failure to continue to move forward. So to be able to have that as that North Star of, hey, like, and honestly, just knowing that failure is inevitable. Like, yes, we're successful. Like, we do have 30 plus employees. Like we are a healthy 7-figure business, and we have failed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love it. I love the fact, like Jordan talks about this all the time. Like, hey, you know how many winning shots I've missed? I'm taking a bunch of final shots that didn't go, right? Like, yes. I have failed, but listen, I want to be the guy taking the shot. I want to be it. And it's always, and I think this is why athletes get into business. They're not surprised when they're opposed by competition who also want the client and want the business. Like, I'm competing now against them. I tell a lot of people, you want to get in business, there is no place for a victim mentality in business. Mm-hmm. There's zero. Like, oh, well, you know what? Like, it wasn't fair. Like, they had a better storefront, Adam. Like I don't know. Then make your storefront better. I don't know.
That is the reason, kind of what we talked about before. Like,
that's right. I can't victim it out. Like, you know what it is? Because it sounds like it's my excuse, which is exactly what it is. But it's the reason. I love that shift in mindset. Like, as soon as I hear it, well, like, I'm going to start doing that. Because I have the 4 principles of losing behavior, right, Adam? Which is blame others, make excuses, quit, and ignore the data, right? This is what winners who find a way to win, they don't ever do these things. They get the fact like, hey, there's no reason to make excuses because it turns out those are the reasons why we failed.
Yep.
There's no reason to blame others because I have to be responsible. And I can't quit because I don't know quit. We don't understand that as winners. And then ignoring the data is a recipe for disaster, right? Nothing ever good came from like, oh, well, let's just gloss over it and act like it's not happening, right?
Yep. Yeah. If you're ignoring the data, you're feeding your ego. That's the only reason why you ignore data.
That's right. And I've seen a lot of those egos take down pretty sizable companies, by the way. Right? Yeah. So why do you think less than 4% of all companies in North America can reach that pivotal moment? I mean, we know how many companies don't make it to where you are, 5 years. Like it's a staggering percentage, right? Why do you think companies don't ever reach that elusive 4% of $1 million in revenue?
Yeah, a few reasons. One, it is, and it is genuinely harder to start than you think. One of the things I think that bugs me that I see circulate on social media all the time is this phrase that's like, you'll buy your favorite celebrity's XYZ, but you won't support your friend's small business. Yeah, because my friend's small business, I don't know what they are on the business side. They're my friend, but they haven't added any value to my business.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I am going to buy LeBron James or Michael Jordan, like Jordan shoes, because they add value. They have, one, been established in the culture that they are seen as a style symbol, a success symbol, whatever that is. They have been deemed comfortable. They have been worn by other people that I want to emulate, right? When I was playing, I wanted to be like pros, right? I'm trying to think of like Amari Stoudemire, Tim Duncan, Dave Robinson, those are my guys, right? I was a big, right? So having that.
Oh, are you a power forward guy?
Yeah, oh yeah, yep. 6'8", which like small for the NBA, but exactly.
Well, be thankful you didn't have to guard Steph then.
Hey, look, I know.
I don't want to be an ESPN highlight.
Look, exactly, and I still was there because I was helping them because all he would do was run off screens. But anyways, let me not go back into that trauma center.
Yeah, thank you.
But
sorry.
having these, like people, it's been proven to add value that I deem. If my friend starts a sneaker company, that's great. I love that. I may buy a pair to help them. But if you're depending on your friends to support your business, you've already failed. You have to go in to add value. So that's one of the reasons that it is so difficult to start. The reason why it's difficult is people don't understand there's two buckets that you're going to sacrifice from, and it's really both. But it's either you're sacrificing time or you're sacrificing money. One of the two. I decided to sacrifice time. And what that meant was I worked full-time jobs until I was able to jump full-time. And match the same salary that I was doing. What that meant was there were weeks, not every week. I'm not going to sound like a social media clip influencer, right? But like not every week, but there were weeks I was working 80 to 100 hours a week. And I would do that and I would burn out and I would try and take half a day, 2 days. And then I'd have to get back on because the work keeps coming. And then that's the second part of why a lot of times we don't see success that hits that $1 million is that once the work starts, it doesn't get easier. It's just different.
Yeah.
I remember when I was talking to one of my mentors, we were at, maybe we had just crossed $1 million at that time. And that company, they do 70 million.
Yeah.
So I asked him, I said, hey, does it get easier at that size or is it just different? He was like, it's just different. So the stress level is just different. And, I couldn't wait until we had 15, 20, 30 employees. Now I look at 30 employees and sometimes I miss one. It was just me and Aaron who started with me, right? Yeah. Like there's always going to be something different and it doesn't stop. You have to continue to move things forward and losses will still come. Ace, right now, we have a couple clients that due to no fault of our own, they're like, hey, we got to change the contract and do X, Y, and Z. Yeah. Cool. Means I got to find a way to fill that, right? Like I got to fill that gap. It's like, oh, well, the reason why we weren't successful is because they canceled. Nope, that's the reason. The reason is they had to change their contracts and I did not do what it took to backfill and continue moving that forward. Right now, please believe I am well on my way to doing that. But like when it comes to that, like the problems and the stress just doesn't stop. And which kind of brings it to number 3. For the vast majority of people, and I don't say this with the ego, I don't say this, in any way, entrepreneurship is actually not worth it. Like for the vast majority of people, and that's okay. Like there are entrepreneurs. I have several entrepreneurs that work at Ace. Those are people that like need an established company and then can build it as if it's their own within, right? There are those that truly like nothing is wrong with the 9 to 5. Like a 9 to 5 is great.
There's a huge value in that. There's a huge value in that for someone who's a creative who says, well, I'd love to do this and I'd love to. They don't want the risk. And so Adam and Aaron have already taken the risk. They've established it like, hey, inside of our boundaries and parameters, if you can work in this, we're happy to give you more if you can create more value, right?
Yes.
And so an entrepreneur space is a great space. I'm always shocked how many attorneys have joined EO in the entrepreneurs organization because they get in this space, they've worked their butts off, they practice, and they go, well, what about if we did it this way? And goes, oh, no, we only could do it this way. And they're like, I don't think you can do it that way. I think there's actually another way you could do it. And they realize that their day jobs have a ton of like walls up, and they're like, hey, I think I can create value over here. And if you're not going to do it, I'm going to go do it on my own. And they love it, man.
Yes.
And they love getting out of the grind of like, let me bill every 6 minutes of my life.
Yes, right. Like you're trading that. It is like you're trading that I'm feeling controlled and all of that to the burden of responsibility. Like, yes, you don't have to do that, but then everything is on you. There's a great quote that I heard where it's like an entrepreneur's job is to hire all of the people that are smarter than you to get the job done. And when they can't figure it out, you're the one that has to do it, right? You hire people smarter, they can't figure it out, you're still the one that has to do it. It's not, well, I hired you also. Nope, like that is your job, like as an entrepreneur, that is it. And it's funny, you alluded to it. A lot of times they're out of the box thinkers. When you hit a no, it is, well, okay, it's a no that way. There's not a no this way. I don't know if there's a no this way. I don't know if there's a no this way. I don't know if there's a no this way. And that's what a lot of entrepreneur jobs is being frustrated that people cannot see things the way you do, and having to not only keep that mindset that you have, but also then convince them to do or try something.
Love it. I love it. Yeah, I think that's a huge thing there, Adam. That's great. So let's talk a little bit about the networking side of things, right? Like a lot of players, athletes, people in a position of influence, when you're in the moment, like you're busy, man, like, you're busy as an athlete, you're busy doing this thing, and people would like to have more of your time. Now, you talk about you're an extroverted guy, you're a pretty social guy, you're mixing it up, handshakes, and you're getting to know people. Man, I feel like kids miss this, man. Like there's a huge opportunity coming up, and a bunch of people want to come alongside because people came alongside us, right, when we were that age and helped us, and we're like, man, I got to pay it forward. Other people did this for me, I'm gonna do it for you, help you out, introduce you to some great folks, and you're gonna be better for it. And I see kids that aren't even open to it. Like they just like, oh, well, I got to go home and play, Mario Kart. Like, hey, bro, like this is a time you may want to set aside that, because you've got to make hay while the going's good. And I think kids are missing it. How do you think, how was that for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of times kids don't realize it until they have to do it, right? Yeah. Like it's just kind of like felt like, oh, well, this is what I need. Now, what I love seeing is when an athlete is like dropped and like, oh, I have to do X. Okay, I'm gonna do it. Right. There was somebody literally, she reached out to somebody at Elon that I knew. They connected me with her, and she was like, yep, like I played softball at Elon. I've been doing this one thing. It's not really doing it for me. What I want to do is this, and I want to do this, and I just wanted to pick your brain about what I needed to do. I was like, cool. How about you interview for the job that has exactly what you're asking for right now? She went to the interview. We just hired her, right? Like, and that's all from her reaching out to somebody at Elon saying, hey, I'm not satisfied with where I am now, and I want to talk to somebody that can help me move. She didn't even come to me for a job.
Right.
She just came to me to learn more of that. And when it's funny, mentorship is also a great key to networking.
Yeah.
People, for better or for worse, people love passing on their knowledge to others because, like, when we think altruistically or selfishly or whatever, it's because they get to feel smart, right? Like they get to do that. Use that, like talk to people, ask them. I got injured, like my career ended after a dunk in preseason in Finland. I hurt my knee again. I tore my quad tendon in Israel when I played there. I had rehab, come all the way back. 3 weeks, hurt it again, boom, career done, right? I had a friend that I knew worked at a marketing firm. I talked with her. She was like, yep, we have a job. It was super low paying, did not care. It's what it allowed me to get in there. Did that work? Then I was able to get an interview at my alma mater, Elon University. How did that happen? Well, I had a professor when I was a sophomore in college, when I switched my major for like the third or fourth time to communications. I was in the class and I was on my ego thing. I didn't need to do any extracurriculars because I was a basketball player. I remember we had to do the resumes, and my resume was the shortest in the entire class after having been at Elon the longest. And I remember how that felt. And this professor was like, you have to do more. So I started writing for the Elon newspaper. I became the president of the Student Athlete Association. I started, I was in the PR wing of the university, and I started doing a whole bunch of things. And it was all because of this one professor that was able to spur me on. Well, all these years later, she is married to the VP of communications that had this open role. She told me to apply and told him to interview me, right? So I was pulled into the interview, did very well in those subsequent interviews as they went through. I was eventually offered the job. The reason why that was doubly important is because the first thing that they do is they read your cover letter and then your resume. He said, half joking, half serious, you better be glad that you knew somebody here that could vouch for you, because your cover letter, I just been playing basketball for 5 years, okay? Let me just preface that. Your cover letter was the worst we'd ever read because I was just so out of practice of writing at an academic rigor level. But the point of that is the networking that I had was able to get my foot in the door so that I could show what I did. And I was also able to excel. I was able to provide the value to those that wanted, that vouched for me to get that job.
I love it, man. I love it. I think there's so much to learn inside that. Like, there's so much, man. And then I think that's great advice. Like, not only did you seek wise counsel in your department, but now you're listening. Hey, listen, your resume is light. You've got these other experiences that aren't so relevant to the workforce today. Awesome. You're a great basketball player in Finland and Bulgaria. That's awesome. But like, is that relevant to building out marketing content, right? So you've got to bolster that up and get experience. So you go do it. And I think that's what, taking action is what athletes, that's the easy part for athletes. Oh, let's take action. Like, we could do that all day. Like, let's get going, because we excel at that. So being directed in that. And, one of the things I speak about this in Leading Winning Teams in the book is mentorship is so powerful. And all the mentors I've ever known, first of all, had mentors on their journey. Second of all, the 1%ers of this world do not often get asked about how they did it. If you look at Elon Musk right now is having a meeting once a week, once a week with SpaceX, Tesla, yep, and the Wi-Fi, the Starlink.
Starlink, Boring Company, Tesla, SpaceX, Starlink, yep.
PayPal, that wasn't a bad venture of his. I'm like, so listen, maybe you can't get Elon. Call the CEO of any one of those brands, and how many people do you think are calling, going, "Hey man, how'd you build this?" Because you worked with Elon on this. He's like, "Well, I did build it because Elon's off doing 2,700 things. Great ideas. We actually, me and the team here, we built Starlink. We built SpaceX." And Tesla, and that's not to knock Elon. Like, listen, he's a great visionary, right? And he's a solutions guy, but he can't do it all. So like, find that CEO, and everyone goes, man, like, and then like, to your point about those companies before the company. Well, what were you a CEO before? Oh, well, before I came to Starlink, I happened to do this. I was a expert at Comcast, for years, and this is how he found me. And like, they are going to give you their experiences, and it's top 5%, man. Like, and no one asks these people who have done these remarkable things in his lifetime. No one ever asks them, hey, would you pass on what you learned to me? Because no one's asking them that. And they're like, oh my gosh, this is going to be awesome because my wife is so tired of hearing my stories. This person's sitting at the edge of the seat, like, and my husband, doesn't have to hear this crap anymore because they don't want to hear the top 10 things I've ever done because I've told it in speeches, at this, and lunches.
Exactly.
Yeah. And they're done with it. And then you got this person who can't wait and is hanging on every word. And like, this is great for them, man. And they realize also someone did it for me, and they're happy to do it. So listen, I tell a lot of people, get your top 5 lists of people that you think can help you, who have already done what you're trying to do. Number them 1 through 5 and just start at the list. Go to number 1 and ask them. If they say no, go to number 2. You will not hit number 5. And I don't care how big they are.
People love, because again, it also validates what they've done. You think you're the only person with imposter syndrome? so are all these CEOs, So like, somebody that just wants to, somebody that isn't trying to sell them, someone that just wants to, like, hey, I like, by you asking them validates the fact that they have done something that they question if they are good at every day, right? Like, have that. And it's funny. I love that. I also like, and then make a 5 network people that I'm watching. So network with people now that you're like, in 5 years, they're going to be something. Like, the amount of work that we've also gotten because it's somebody that I either like networked with at Elon or networked with at one of my first jobs that are not, like, a perfect example. There was she was a project manager when I was at the mortgage company that I was in. Her and I worked together, like good friends. She's now the VP of marketing at another mortgage company. And she was like, hey, Adam, let's do this. Like, and boom, we're now working together.
And your recognition, like, hey, this woman's a high flyer. Like, she is going to keep progressing because this is who she is. She doesn't know how to stop. And everything she touches is a little bit of Midas. So she's like, oh, little gold here, little gold there. And everyone's like going, hey, man, we need her. We need her on our team. So you knew, hey, listen, this woman's going to get plucked away. Like, someone's going to need her because she creates so much value, right? So I love that. I love that from a networking perspective. The other thing I'll tell people, and it's maybe easier for Adam and I who are outgoing people. Yeah, great. Okay. But play the game. This is all a game. You need to go into networking and go, hey, listen, I'm not leaving this cocktail party till I walk out with 10 business cards in my pocket of people that may provide a value in some way to me. And I'm going to put that one value that I think it is on the back of their card before I put it in my pocket. And then, listen, if the thing gets over at 9:30 and it's 8 o'clock and you got your 10, get the hell out of there. The game's over. Like, next day, live another day, man. And don't play a game. Play the game of business, right?
And that's one of those things too. Yes. And you'll be sitting there, well, that's easy for Adam and Trent. They're extroverts. Oh, nope. That's the reason. Like, we're all in the same place. So if you're going to let us get the 10 and you're not, because I totally get those differences. In fact, Trent and I have to turn ourselves down. Like, we know what, like, there are people that are turned off by our personalities.
Yeah.
There are people that think we hog the limelight or we're doing this. No, we're not. We're just trying to, so like, we have our shows with that as well. But part of that is like, hey, one of the reasons why I'm not able to network is because I'm not comfortable. Then, especially if you have an athlete, man, get reps. Go to smaller networking events that you don't care about just to get reps, to meet people, to talk, to flub over, to be like, oh, that was so stupid. How could I say that? Oh, wait, I'm forgetting their names. I need to figure out something to remember people's names on XYZ. Oh, I've lost their business cards. I need to start taking photos of the business cards. So I have those. That's my hack, by the way. I as soon as I get a business card, I take a picture of it, and then I can either attach it to their a name. My other hack is if I get a number, I type in their occupation, like SEO. It'll be the cocktail hour I met them at. Sometimes it's like Starlink CEO glasses EO cocktail hour, right? So when I'm like,
yeah,
who was that person I met? And I can just type that in, right? But like find ways that works for you. But that all that I just said comes from reps, comes from like being out there and doing that. And people have so many problems. They're not going to remember you if you do something good. Now, if you do something crazy, then that look, well, Trent and I can't help you on that. Okay. But, you know, if you mess up.
Hack. It's a great hack. And I'll give you one of my hacks. I hack by literally opening up my LinkedIn in advance of. All LinkedIns have a QR code that you can set and just hold it out, and people can scan your LinkedIn, hit invite, and then I've got a timestamp of when that was and where I was at. I also put in a personal invite. I have all sorts of templates, right, for introduction to who I am on LinkedIn. And I either say, hey, thank you for connecting, or I say, hey, Adam, I would love to connect with you. I met you at the EO happy hour over at the EO house in Chicago on last, March 10th. And so I'm saying where it was, I put it all in, and then I've got it all dialed in on exactly. Now, once the LinkedIn connection is, our group goes through every month and goes, hey, who did we get in our new network this month? And let's get them hey, please join our newsletter, join our information. We have you now connected. They have my contact information, both my email and my cell phone now, and can immediately reach out to me at any time. I've told them basically by connecting, and this is what LinkedIn is, I've connected with you, Adam. So Adam knows, hey, Trent, I need some help. Did you know this person? I saw he's into your network. So he calls me and I'm like, that's exactly what I'm here for, Adam. Yes, of course I know, Teresa. She's fabulous. You're going to love her. I will introduce you to by text. Here we go. And you guys are off and running. You're going to love working together because you're both cut from the same cloth. And that's how the whole thing works, right?
Absolutely. And in the same way, when you network and network becomes a thing, you also offer other people in the same way that you ask, right? Like when you're trying to think, oh, I don't want to bother them. Okay, well, talk to them in a way that wouldn't bother you if somebody asked you, right?
Yeah.
Like having that way to do that. I really love that LinkedIn timestamp hack because it's amazing how technology can really do a lot of the heavy lifting if you use it as a tool. But yeah, like being able to do that is such a fantastic way to grow your network, and also because think about it, if you network, if somebody asks you someone and you connect them and they work, well, they thank you for that, and the person you connected them is like, hey, that was a really good person you connected me with. Thanks so much. Like you continue to win. It's the same thing if you are the value add for someone else, because everybody is looking for something, even if they aren't announcing that. And they just have to know. There are people, I've had ACE running for 5 years. There are people in my network that probably need my services that just don't know what I do because I have not networked. Like they're literally like, oh, I just didn't know what to do. I guarantee you less people know what you do than you think. And that's a good thing when it comes to networking.
Yeah, I love it. Let's finish with this, Adam. A lot of challenges out there. You are now at the forefront of video content, of social media content. You've run out. I mean, there's a lot of branding going on, and man, there's a new day of marketing. It's not traditional anymore. The things that worked 15 years ago are not going to work today. And it's constantly moving. I think one of the biggest challenges in your field of expertise is that you got to stay relevant. And And that's about a 12-month window of new relevance all the time, right? Because it can pivot fast. So for folks that need to make a pivot, they're challenged, they're not winning today, what would you tell them today? What would you be your biggest advice to them?
Yeah, the number one thing, let's take money aside for now, because yes, capital helps, yes, all of that. If you're not finding success, it's because you don't know your audience the way you think you do, or you're not providing the value to your audience the way you think they do it. Like I just said before, trying to guilt your friends and family into using your product by posting passive aggressive memes about how you'll support X established brand, but not them. That's not a real strategy. You can, however, show me your sneaker and the sneaker brand that you're showing on a celebrity. Well, that's too expensive. Okay, great. Well, I also wear them for style. You can show them in such a stylish way that I'm like, oh, damn. Yeah, I want that. You can show the fact, well, we're too niche. People don't know us. Great. Then you make it an exclusive limited time offering. Why? Because audiences right now love exclusivity. Everything is accessible right now. So like a lot of brands are moving to LTO because when you have scarcity, right, like people want it more, which is what all these are. Some of these.
What is LTO?
LTO, like a limited time offering, right? Yes. So it's like, hey, either this is only going to be available for 2 weeks, or there's only going to be 100 pairs, right? I got a couple 100 pair ones in here that I spent way more than I should have, but it was because it was scarce, right?
Right.
But finding out what your audience is actually wanting and engaging with is how you are going to find success that you currently haven't been. And if you're like, Adam, I have found out what they are and they still aren't engaging, then you haven't. It's in the same way that when people are trying to lose weight, they're like, I am on a lose or gain. If they're like, oh, I'm eating 1,000 calories a day and I'm not losing weight, or I'm eating $8,000 calories a day and I'm not gaining weight. No, you're not. Like science is science, that's how it works. So if you're not hitting that, it's because you don't have the audience's attention, and market saturation also doesn't matter. Okay. Yeah. There is water that is called liquid death water, one of the most prevalent things that we have, sold at a more expensive price point than the other water that was there before it. Right. So if you can make differentiation in water, you can make differentiation in whatever that is by knowing your audience. The people that buy liquid death are a very specific audience, and the people that don't buy liquid death are a specific audience that they don't care about. Yeah. And that's what they're trying to do. So know that audience is the number one thing that you have to do to find that success.
I love it, Adam. Tell them where they can find you.
So I'm on Instagram at They Call Me AC, also on LinkedIn, Adam Constantine. You can find my company on Instagram. It's at #Ace Creative. So spell out hashtag. Don't put a hashtag in there. That'll show your age. So at #Ace Creatives. And then the same thing on LinkedIn is Ace Creatives. Feel free to shoot me a message. Ask me any questions. Look, if somebody were to be like, I am messaging you right now because I heard about mentorship and I'm messaging you because I think that you would be, I will literally say yes. You don't have to be sneaky. You don't have to do any of that. Like absolutely, please. We both practice what we preach. Even before this, Trent and I were just talking about, like, oh, you should do this. Oh, you should do that. It just becomes natural for us, and we're happy to do that to anybody else who we feel that we can be of value to.
Love it. Adam Constantine. Thank you so much for everybody on the Winners Find a Way show. Thank you for joining us. We are on live every Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. Join us on LinkedIn Live, Facebook Live, Leadershipity YouTube channel. You can check it all. Until we see you next week, winners, find a way.